swim hours, you can come and swim. We also offer swim lessons, and so for all ages, youth to adult, all levels are available. And that is open to the entire Duke community. And then Aquatics also offers safety lessons. So first aid, CPR, AED, and lifeguard courses are all available through our Aquatics program. So it's kind of a quick overview of our Aquatics and what they offer.
Chris, would you like to go over some of the facilities?
Chris, you need to unmute yourself.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Yep. Sorry about that. So my name is Chris Policastro, and I'm on the facilities team at Duke Rec and PE. And I manage the day-to-day operations over at the Wilson Recreation Center, which is on West Campus, and also manage the staff at the front desk when you first access Wilson, as well as the facility monitors that roam the facility to make sure things are safe and running smoothly. So again, we do have two facilities, Wilson on West and Brody on East Campus. And we are open 7 days a week, and we obviously are closed right now for this pandemic, but normally we stay in operation year round. We do usually have modified hours with summer and winter break and things like that, but otherwise we have pretty accommodating hours for our students and members. If there's ever any equipment issues or anything that breaks within the facility, that falls under my area to make sure it gets fixed and repaired. So if you have any questions about hours, operations, things along those lines, you can find me at Wilson or Emily Scotchless over at Brody.
Awesome, Leanne.
All right, I think I'm up. Hi, everyone. I'm Leanne Garstecki. I'm our Director for Fitness and Wellness for Duke Rec and PE. So underneath myself and my coordinator, Lisa, we oversee group fitness and personal training. Those are kind of our main buckets. We offer, all of our group fitness classes are free. There are about 75 classes a week that we offer, and we program at both Wilson and Brody. As well as one of the West Campus residence halls, Edens. So we have that going on. Personal training. Personal training is not free. There is a fee for that, but that's available to students. And then we also have small group programs. So these are kind of a little more quaint. We offer up to 10 people to take those at a time with one instructor. It gives a little more knowledge and education, but also gives you a good workout. So we do like some boxing, some different boot camps, utilizing our kind of brand new functional training space in Wilson. It's only been open for a year. So we have that going on. And then we also do free assessments for students. So when you get on campus, if you want to do an assessment with a personal trainer just to kind of see your baselines, you can sign up for that through our website, and that is free for all students. So it's kind of the big chunks under us.
Hey everyone, Matt Holdren. I'm with the Intramural Sports program at Duke University. We just give you a quick rundown of what we do. Basically, we organize sports leagues and other events like tournaments, weekend tournaments for all of you. Participation ranges anywhere from undergrad to graduate students, faculty, and staff. So everybody gets involved and plays at their leisure and at their pleasure. We offer sports both in the fall and the spring. We offer different sports such as soccer, flag football in the fall, whereas in the spring we get into one of our more popular sports like basketball, ultimate frisbee, softball, stuff like that. But many other sports involved in that lineup. Special events, tournaments. We have some pop-up events here and there, such as some video game tournaments. We'll do some soccer tournaments here, like some 4v4 tournaments. Table tennis, some smaller sports in that aspect. But we do a wide range of things throughout each semester for you guys. On top of that, we also, if you're looking for some employment coming in, we also hire. We hire officials for our sports, so they are officiated, the majority of them. Scorekeepers, as well as if you're with us for a few years, we do promote to supervisors, and our supervisors are more leadership positions. And they just kind of oversee the sites and make sure everything runs smoothly and everybody's having a good time. So, yep, that's it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Panino. I'm the Assistant Director of Sport Clubs. What Sport Clubs really is all about is we have a number of sports ranging from your traditional sports, baseball, all the way to sailing or ski and snowboard. We have 37 different sports. You don't need to have any experience to join. We're all inclusive. There may be tryouts for a travel roster depending on what that weekend consists of for competitions. Most of our clubs, they practice anywhere between 2 to 3 times a week. And they have maybe about 3 to 4 competitions each semester. One thing to really keep in mind is academics does come first for our program. It's not like athletics, varsity sports. It's more, you have more autonomy to balance your schoolwork, your sport, your social life and whatnot. I did it when I was an undergrad and grad school, so if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to facilitate that. And also check out recreation.duke.edu. It outlines all of our sport clubs, all of the contacts for that. It's all student-led, so if you want to develop your leadership skills outside of just your athletic ability, that opportunity is there. Thank you, and we're so excited to answer your questions and talk more about what we can offer for you.
Yeah, so no one's really submitted any questions yet through the chat. So if any of you in attendance have questions you would like to throw at us, you have a good representation here from across the board. Or if there's anything that we can go into more detail about, we're happy to do that as well. Grace throughout there, do club sports practice through the whole school year or are there seasons?
Yes, so a good example of this is women's soccer. So women's soccer is very heavy in the fall, and they usually start 2 weeks, sometimes even a week right after school starts. And then in the spring, it's not as much competition, but they do friendly scrimmages, whether it's with UNC, Wake Forest, or High Point. So for example, if you were going to join that club, you pay a certain amount of dues for a sport club. So women's soccer is $200. That payment covers everything for the entire year. Competitions, travel, it's all encompassing your uniform. So with that being said, you pay your membership. We wouldn't want to just give you a semester of that. So it's the full academic year.
Thanks, Amanda. Amanda also threw out into the chat, any of you, if you wanted to pull that up, our website, which is recreation.duke.edu. That has all of our information compiled in that one spot. Another really good resource is we're on all social media platforms. So we're at Duke Rec. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Snapchat. We're also on Spotify, so if you're looking for some playlists, you can look us up there. Yeah. Any other questions? Cindy asked, which facilities do freshmen typically use for general fitness? Are they close to the residence halls? Chris, do you want to talk on this a little bit?
Yeah, I'll touch on that. So Brody is on East Campus, so we do see a lot of our first-year students using Brody just because of proximity. They can easily walk over there. But technically, our students can use both facilities. We don't sell a membership to just one or the other. There's just a recreation membership. So technically, first-year students, can use Wilson, but a lot of them do end up using Brody because they can easily, walk over there. So.
Awesome. Kina wrote in, Can we talk a little bit more about outdoor adventures? What is the typical time commitment and how much does it cost? So I did briefly cover outdoor adventures at the very beginning, but basically the typical time commitment ranges. So things like the Rock Wall, which is located in Wilson Recreation Center, has limited hours almost every day of the week. I think the only day they're ever closed is on Saturdays. So those hours are typically all posted on our website and available for you to view. In terms of trips, we offer a variety of daytime trips, some that range like a half day or a full day, some that might just range like a morning or an afternoon, like a little day hike to a local area. I know they were planning to do something like goat yoga this spring that unfortunately had to get canceled due to the pandemic. So they're always kind of pushing the envelope a little bit on different things that they offer. They also do some overnight trips. So they'll do like a weekend. I know they did a ski trip this spring before everything kind of got shut down, and they drove up, stayed the night, skied all day, and then came back that same day. So it was just like a one night. They'll do multiple nights. We usually every spring break will do a full week trip. This year they were planning to go out west to Utah, and then they also ran a trip in the foothills trails down south, so something a little bit closer. But typically the cost for all of those includes all of your equipment, the instruction, most times food, especially for the overnight trips, and your transportation for the bulk of those as well. So they're pretty all encompassing. Someone else also threw out there, are there a lot of hiking options near campus? And I am fairly new to the area, so anyone who has been here a bit longer, feel free to chime in. There is the Al Bueller Trail located basically on campus, and then there's, I don't know if you call this a hiking trail, there's the East Campus Loop that is a very active spot on campus to walk around. But if someone else who's been here a little bit longer than I have or is more familiar would like to chime in on that, that would be awesome.
Well, I was going to say maybe Matt could talk about that since he's been here the longest.
I thought my name was going to pop up. Perfectly fine. I wouldn't say I'm that familiar with stuff, but there are tons of trails around Durham. Even Raleigh is right down the road. Chapel Hill's right down the road. State parks such as Ena River is not but 10 minutes from Duke. That's a popular place for a lot of Duke students just to take a weekend to go out there near the quarry and hang out and do some trail hiking. I know there's a watering hole out there that a lot of students like to go to. I'm not saying go out there, but that's a popular spot for them. If you're looking for more like traditional hiking spots, like a full day hike, there's the mountains are 3 hours away. I was going to say the beach is also about 3 hours away, but your mountains such as there's a trail called Hanging Rock, or not a trail, but a location called Hanging Rock, which is a popular spot. There's a place called Raven Rock, and I'm just throwing these out there in case you're writing them down. That's also about an hour and a half away, which is a popular trail / hiking route. But to really get your traditional hiking, you're going to have to travel probably about 2.5 - 3 hours away. Asheville is not far. If you want to take a weekend trip, Asheville is about a 3.5 hour, 4 hour trip. A lot of people like to go beach day trips since it's only 3 hours away. It's an easy drive to Wilmington. So that's not too far away. I know that's going off the question, but I'm just trying to give you guys an idea how close you are to several different points as far as what you're looking for a particular weekend or even a day trip. So yes, to answer the question, to swing back around, hiking trails within distance, I say distance is 3 hours. You can make your own determination on that. But tons of trails, tons of paths, 5-10 minutes away. Near Duke, walking distance, like the Al Bueller East Campus Trail is right there. Like Lindsay said, a popular running trail. But you have plenty of trails within walking distance, or if you're bringing a bike, within biking distance as well. So you got a lot to do around there as far as if you're looking for more outdoor, just kind of, I want to get away on my own or with a couple of friends and get a piece of nature. So yeah, there's plenty. You just got to type in a search near Duke and you'll find some stuff.
I can throw in another link. Durham Parks and Rec is a really good resource. I can pull that link and throw it into the chat if you all would like that. They oversee basically all the parks in the local Durham area, so that's a good way to kind of see where different areas are located. I know, especially during the quarantine, there's been a lot of us going out and exploring a few of those little by little, just for a change of scenery. Another link that I threw into the chat, it's kind of ugly. I'm not sure what the copy and paste looks like on your all's computers, but that is a link to our spring program guide. So you can kind of get a bit of a feel for what all we offered this spring in terms of programming. It basically breaks it down program area by program area. All of our trips that we would have offered were in there. I think the Rockwall hours were in there, facility hours, all of the small group training programs that Leanne referenced were in there. There's also a list of the PE courses that are available to be taken. Yeah. Any other questions from anybody? You've asked some really, really good ones. I also don't know if it would be helpful or how many people you've all talked to over the last couple of weeks, but if any of us can provide any personal reference or resources from just Durham in general, our time at Duke, we're happy to do that as well.
Hey, Lindsay, I was going to say maybe we can touch on some of the things that we have in our facilities to maybe spark some interest if anybody, has an interest in some of the stuff that we offer, and maybe that can help spark some conversation. But for example, we have a lot of basketball courts in Wilson and Brody. Wilson has 3 full court basketball courts, and Brody has some lower courts as well as an upper court, which is old school, but still a basketball court nonetheless. So we get a lot of our members that like to play pickup basketball in both of our facilities. We have Card Gym, which is actually connected to the Wilson Rec Center, that has another basketball court in there that our members can use. So that's one activity that a lot of our members enjoy is basketball. We also have racquetball courts in both facilities. We have a functional training space, as Leanne alluded to earlier, in Wilson, which we opened up last year, a little over a year ago. And that's pretty neat because it has some heavy bags in there. It has a climbing rig in there, as well as some pretty cool accessories like tires and things like that people can flip. So that's a pretty neat space. Obviously, we got a pretty expansive weight room inside of Wilson. Brody has their own weight room as well, but a little bit smaller because general size of Brody is about half of Wilson. Just for reference, Wilson's about 100,000 square feet and Brody's about 50,000. So besides that, we do have ping pong tables over at Wilson. We got a foosball table, plenty of cardio equipment in both facilities, pretty much everything you can imagine, that have pretty neat features on the cardios. There's a personal trainer type of app that you can follow along with some cardio workouts on our cardio equipment and things of that sort. As Lindsay mentioned, the rock climbing wall is inside of Wilson. So there's lots of different activities and things within our facilities. So if any of that type of stuff sparks your interest, we'd be happy to answer any questions about that.
So a common question that I get, and I'm just kind of helping with the conversation too, and Ryan, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to kind of single you out just because I know that you're a wrestler now. So Ryan is a wrestler, so this is a really good example with sport clubs. So sometimes students, for example, a first year came to me in August and he's interested in wakeboarding. That's not a sport club. It might be a student organization under UCAE. And so if you're a student org, you can literally create almost any club that you want following their certain guidelines and whatnot. And so you become a club for a full year, and then you can apply for sport club membership. So we have 37 sport clubs, and all of them had to apply in order to be a sport club. So one of the unique things is that Duke Rec and PE falls under athletics. So we get to use a lot of the same spaces, field space, the multi-purpose rooms and whatnot. So we share space with them. Wrestling, for example, we don't have a wrestling club. So it's only the varsity team that uses the combative room to wrestle and whatnot. So, just in case if you were thinking that, Ryan, like, how am I still going to be able to wrestle? How am I going to continue that sport? Just because it's not a sport club doesn't mean there isn't an avenue to still create that atmosphere on campus. And that's one of the best things about Duke is they really value that. And I really think there's like little pockets for everyone on campus. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or additional things any of the programmers want to add in, maybe touch a bit more on?
I was just going to kind of piggyback off Chris in the facilities, just fitness wise, and talk about in Wilson, we also have 2 multi-purpose rooms that we host our group fitness classes in. And then we also have a spin room. So any of our spin classes that we offer occur in Wilson. In Brody, we have 1 multi-purpose room. Again, Chris talked about the size of it. It's a little bit smaller, but we do program in all those spaces. We also, we get a lot of questions about what kind of classes we offer. And so spin, obviously, we do HIIT classes, high intensity interval training. We do Zumba. We do a muscle pump class, lots of different yoga, lots of different types of yoga. We do bar classes. We have a room in Wilson where we do all of our bar classes. Trying to think, but I think I kind of hit on the big ones, but we have a lot of variety. So if there's anything you're interested in, feel free to ask. I think we got another question.
We did. Kina threw out there, how do the Duke tennis courts work for non-varsity students, and can you rent equipment?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So there's some outdoor courts over on East Campus next to Brody that people can use. Sometimes we have some programming on there. I know Matt has some intramural tennis stuff from time to time. PE has some tennis classes that they use those courts for. But it is open rec space for tennis. We are going to be starting to offer tennis equipment, tennis rackets and balls. But in the past, people typically had brought their own. But because of popular demand, that is something that we're looking to add for checkout. So you would have to go to the front desk of Brody to check out a tennis racket and tennis ball, and then return it after you get done playing. But the courts on West Campus is pretty much for athletics. So the Ambler tennis courts and the Sheffield Tennis Pavilion are for athletic use. And PE tennis uses some of that stuff as well. But for our members, open rec, really, it's the outdoor East tennis courts next to Brody.
Chris, do you want to touch at all on access to the facility and what that looks like if they just need their ID or what they need to bring with them to enter the facilities?
Yeah, so students who pay a rec fee will gain access by swiping their Duke card or their mobile Duke card. So a feature that came out, I guess, about a year ago that students can download on their phones, iPhones, as well as Androids, to have a mobile application to scan into our facilities. That also goes with Apple Watches. So we got some features there. So we obviously, really want our students to make sure they have some type of ID on them. So whether that's virtual or the physical card to gain access.
Hey, Matt, I thought this would be a good opportunity to shed light on how, because we all know that one of you are going to join an intramural team. And what happens when they don't have their student ID?
So one of the ways, just to give you a little bit of policy boredom here, one of the ways we track, so let me first rewind. So Intramural Sports, you organize, let's say you're going to play on a soccer team. You literally organize a team amongst your friends. That's how Intramural Sports works. You create a team. It's a 7v7 soccer league, for example. Let's get at least 7 players. You could have more. We're going to register for this league and we're going to play in the B league because we just want to have some fun, or we want to play in the A league because we're really competitive and we want to win some games and we think we got some good players. So whatever that may be. So once your team, you fill out your roster, you sign up on our platform that we use to organize our leagues. We schedule the games for you. It's a date and time. You register in that manner. And what I mean by that is if the majority of your team is available on a Tuesday night at 6:30, that's the division you register for, and that's when you play your games. So now to go forward in the question, how do we track who's on what's roster and who's playing on what team? Well, we have printouts with your name on it. And basically, you got to have your Duke ID to prove that you're the person that's on that roster. I hate to use the word prove, but it's the only way for us to track, like, yes, I've registered for this team, I'm on this team, and I'm not playing for 5 other teams at the same time. So you got to basically come, like, if you've played in high school sports, your coach gives a roster to the referees. It's almost very similar just to say, yes, I'm a part of this team, I'm on this roster. Large as basically the big encompassing piece is that I am a Duke student. We've had cases where UNC students have made their way over to Duke Intramural Sports to play. No. So we're not allowing that kind of stuff. So that's why we also kind of check and say, hey, we just got to make sure you're, 1, a Duke student, and number 2, that you have registered for this team, and that you're eligible to play. And when I say eligible, it means you're again, a student at Duke, undergrad, faculty, staff, you're a member of our recreational facilities, same as, going in to check in for the facility like Chris mentioned. Got to have your Duke ID. It's just a method we have of just policies and procedures just to say you are who you say you are. So if you don't bring that ID, we do have things in place to maybe help you kind of through that and just, hey, next time bring your ID, but we're pretty strict on that as a program. So make sure you bring that Duke ID. And again, that could be the phone, just something that shows that picture and has your name and that matches up with the roster, and hey, go out and have fun. That's basically it.
Any other questions that can pop in? I don't know. You all will be first-year students. So one thing that might be of interest is from a PE perspective, they have started to offer fitness for first-year students. That might be of interest. That's a newer class that was just implemented, I believe, this spring. So that might be a really cool way to get actually access to the PE classes. Those classes do fill really, really quickly. They're really popular. And that one is completely reserved for first years, which is pretty awesome. Through our website, if you go to the physical education tab, you can actually click and see the available courses for the coming summer. And then that changes every semester. So you can see what is available to register for. And they offer everything from stand-up paddleboarding, they do yoga, Pilates. There's some like martial arts stuff that they do, basketball, golf, basically anything you can think of. There's any other ones off the top of anyone's head? They're like kind of unique ones. They're out there.
I was going to say they do some like fitness for women, weight training for women. And then they've started doing some fusion classes too. There's a fitness fusion and a fitness fusion for women. So, yeah.
Hey, Lindsay, I don't know if it was you or Brooke talked about aquatics in our pools. Um, the only thing I was going to mention too, so at Wilson, Tayshoff Aquatics Pavilion is connected to Wilson, and we do share that pool with the varsity swimming and diving team. So we have hours that are reserved for open swim time, and then there's other times that are reserved for the swim team to use the pool. So that is, I would say, a popular activity that people utilize as a part of our recreation membership. So we do not sell a separate pool membership. As I mentioned earlier, there's one rec membership that includes Brody and Wilson and the pools. So that's another thing that just wanted to throw out there.
Thanks.
I was just going to also maybe hit on some of our special events and programs that aren't necessarily just dedicated to one area. At the beginning of each year, we typically do 2 big events. One is just for first years. It's called Brody Blowout. And then we also do a Rec Fest, which is for everyone, and that's over at Wilson, and it's huge with outdoor inflatables and games and free food and t-shirts and things like that. It's kind of a big kickoff for the school year. So those are 2 big events. Aquatics a lot of times does Battleship, which is really popular and fun. We also do something called the Devil Amazing Race, which has been going on for a few years. If you're familiar with the show Amazing Race, it's very similar. It's just on Duke's campus. It takes you all over campus, putting you through different mental and physical challenges. It's really fun. And then what are some of our other events? My brain's...
Score for the Cure.
There we go, Score for the Cure.
And we typically do a dive-in movie once. I think that's about it. Some other little pop-up things here and there. All of those special events are also free. Can't remember if Leanne mentioned that or not, but yeah, there's not any cost associated to those. Those are just intended to provide a unique experience to bring everyone together on campus. Some of them might have limited access, like the Blue Devil Amazing Race that is limited to 100 participants, but you get to pick your team of 4. So it's kind of a fun way to grab a group of people that you either have class with or might live in your surrounding area to compete. Same with Battleship. It's another group of 4. I don't know if all of you on here are familiar with Battleship. Matt, I don't know if you want to talk about that one a little bit. I know you guys help with that.
Yeah, it's maybe it's what you think. We throw a team of 4 in a canoe. We give you 2 buckets, basically a paddle, which is a floating board to either block or paddle the boat around, and you basically throw water in your opponent's boat, and the last boat standing wins. It's usually about 3 or 4 boats in the pool at once, and I mean, it's basically, that's what it is. You try to sink your opponent. So it's a pretty fun time to watch. Pretty exciting, a couple hours. It's, everybody walks away having a great time. You're exhausted, but you have a great time. And of course, afterwards, they typically feed you pizza. So you get some food on top of that at the end of everything. So it's a fun event, a lot of fun.
We've got a few minutes left. If there's any final questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, there is also a feed open under campus and student life. I posted something earlier today that on Wiser, I guess I should make that point. So on Wiser, under campus and student life, there's a thread. So if you have any questions that come to mind between now and whenever, feel free to pop them on there. You can also find all of our contact information on our website under staff. You can email us directly. We have some really great videos that are on our website. Like I mentioned earlier, social media is a really good way to keep in touch with us, see the things that we have going on. We like to do interactive things like trivia. We play some games. Brooke, I don't know if you want to talk about some of the fun things we've done recently.
Yeah, so we have increased or more engaging things during this time. I'm trying to keep everyone engaged. So if you're looking for some fun things to do, go give us a follow. We have like weekly Instagram stories and, like Lindsay said, trivia, some guessing games. We'll be putting our Spotify playlists on there. So just kind of some fun stuff to keep you occupied during this time.
Hey, Lindsay, one thing I was going to plug real quick, and I know Matt alluded to it earlier about intramurals having a lot of employment opportunities. As a whole, our department is probably one of the largest student employment places on campus. So if you're looking for a part-time job, pretty much every program area we have has student workers. So if you're looking to make a little money, I would say most of our student workers are probably working 10 hours a week. The max our students can work is 19.9 hours per week. But I would say the majority are not that high. I'd say probably around that 10-hour is probably the average that students are working for us. So if you have an interest in our department or a specific program area, you can definitely reach out to one of us and see what we offer.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Chris. And there's some unique opportunities in terms of employment too, whether it's like personal training, teaching group fitness. Amanda has some staff that she has that does content creation for sport clubs. Brooke and I oversee some marketing assistants and graphic designers, officiating, like Matt mentioned, lifeguarding. So there's some kind of unique jobs that get you up and moving too. They're not necessarily your run-of-the-mill job. And Grace also threw in a question. Leanne, if you would like to take this one. She asked about group fitness classes like yoga and spin and if there's a cost associated.
Yeah, so all of our group fitness classes are free. They're included with your rec fee. So we also provide all the equipment. Don't have to bring anything with. So we do all that for you.
Awesome. If there aren't any other questions, thank you all for coming. Otherwise, we can hang around for a couple more minutes if there's a few lingering ones or something that pops to mind, or you want to chat one of the staff privately, you're also welcome to do that.